jitterbug is one of the most renowned topwater lures to ever hit the shelves. The most distinct feature you'll notice about this bait is its double-cupped metal lip, which produces a wobbling action and plopping sound that millions of anglers can immediately recognize. The jitterbug comes in 3 different sizes: a 2-inch body, a 2.5-inch body, and a 3-inch version. Initially, the jitterbug was actually designed to be a deep diving lure by lure creator Fred Arbogast in the 1920s. However, when retrieved, the lure would wobble out of control. Arbogast then gave up on the lure and let it sit untouched for over 10 years before coming back to it. He began tinkering with it and turned the large dive lip upside down and mounted it sideways. There, the jitterbug was born. The original jitterbugs appeared in 1939 and featured metal lips with wood bodies. World War II broke out and metal material for the lips became very hard to find. This led to using plastic material for the lip design in 1942 through 1945. But as soon as the war ended, Arbogast went back to using metal lips again and has retained them ever since. The bodies were also switched from wood to plastic in the early 1970s to increase durability and consistency. And one of the best things about the jitterbug is anybody can fish it. No matter if you're an experienced angler or just a beginner, it's so easy to fish. Now, to get the best action with your jitterbug, you're gonna wanna go with just a straight retrieval, just a nice, steady, constant reel. Now be patient with this and let that metal lip at the front do all the work and push that bait back and forth. You'll know if you're doing it right, you'll hear a slight gurgling sound. Now, if you're looking for a place to fish the jitterbug, works best on small bodies of water like what we're fishing today and calm days, so not a lot of wind. That's when you'll get the best action with the jitterbug. You can't mention night fishing without talking about this bait. And this bait's pretty much in a league of its own when you're fishing either in the morning, evening, late at night. Works really good in low light conditions. The Hula Popper is an all-time classic topwater lure and has rightfully earned its place in the tackle boxes of anglers all over the world. The bait features a concave mouth that creates the iconic popping sound you hear, and also a pulsating rubber skirt that flares out nicely in the water. It comes in 4 different sizes: a 1¼ inch body, a 1¾ inch body, a 2-inch version, and a 2¼ inch. The 2 smaller versions are equipped with 1 rear treble hook and are primarily best for small water fishing, while the 2 bigger versions have 2 treble hooks and can be fished almost anywhere. The Hula Popper was actually first introduced in 1941 as a fly rod popper, and it wasn't until 7 short years later in 1948 when the casting model of the Hula Popper was introduced, which is what we see today. Fred Arbogast, the founder of Arbogast Baits, was a true pioneer when it came to topwater designs. Using his experience as an employee for Goodyear Rubber and Tire Company, he began designing skirts made out of rubber for his fishing lures. These skirts were groundbreaking technology for the fishing industry back then. Arbogast had the skirts patented in 1938, and shortly after, the Hula Popper made history, being the first ever topwater lure to be fitted with a rubber skirt.
You can throw the Hula Popper in a variety of situations, but for a good starting point, I definitely recommend throwing it on a smaller body of water. The biggest variable to throw in the Hula Popper is how you pop the bait. And there's so many different ways you can work this bait. Let's start with the time in between pauses. Now, you can base a lot of things on how long you pause your Hula Popper. But some basic rules for you to follow: the dirtier the water you're fishing, the longer you pause that bait. And the colder the water you're fishing, the longer you pause that bait. You can go all the way up to pausing it for 5 seconds, or even waiting until all those rings around the bait disappear. This is for situations when fish might not be roaming around and as active, so it just gives them more time to find that bait. Another thing to keep in mind is the violence of the pop, so how hard you pop it. Now, you can bring that Hula Popper all the way under the water and sort of chug it. And this is going to mimic a bait fish that's fleeing at the top of the water. Or you could go vice versa and just go with a short, subtle pop, almost like a bait fish that's feeding at the top. Both are really good ways to entice competitive fish to come up and strike that bait. And the longer you pause that bait, the more that rubber skirt's going to flare out and dance around under the water.
There he is. just sucked it under right there, just came right up to it and just, he's not a big one, but he's a puller. Look at the size of this one right here. This is a big old bluegill red ear. Oh, hang on here, sweetie pie. Let me get you up here. Now let me tell you, any youngster would love to catch one of these now. And this one is of the large variety. This is a nice, big old healthy. I think this one is a hybrid of some kind. Went for my little popper. Let me tell you what, this is what gets kids starting in fishing. Bluegill and small bass, goggle eye, maybe a few crappie. But these things are not only fun to catch and are hard fighters, but these things make great table fare too now. There's nothing sweeter than a bluegill or a big old copper nose. That one right there is pretty. And he went for my little teeny popper. You know, this is a scaled down version of one of the most classic fishing baits out there. Ask any professional angler, they have a popper in their tackle box. And this is just a scaled down version where you can slip around little small bodies of waters and ponds and little small creeks and catch something. You know, to a 6-year-old, this is a giant right here. So don't pass up your little small poppers. They'll have big action for you when you get to the water. Let me turn this one loose. Get back out there. We might catch you again sometime. Oop, he took off like a flash. Let me show you up close what my little popper looks like. Like I said, this is a classic version of one of the most popular and long-lasting topwater baits that was ever made, a popper. This one is about 1.5 inches long, but casts like a bullet. You can throw it on any kind of small spinning or spin casting equipment. Make sure that when you get around a small body of water, you give them this little offering here. This is a Rebel teeny popper. Make sure you got one in your tackle box.